Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and it's once again to spill more reality and take a deep dive into all the goops, gags, and global glamazon glamour of episode 4 of RuPaul Drag Race Global All-Stars. Everybody say love girl groups. But before we talk about the drama from this episode, let me welcome our co-caster, and please don't underestimate her drag. It's QuackrrJack. Jack, tonight's episode was very divisive with the fandom, so I know we have a lot of tea to spill here soon, but I have to know first off, how are you doing tonight? And how have your opinions of the season changed overall for the better or the worse after this week's episode?
Um, though I think it's fair to say there is some favoritism going on and different people are getting um better critiques maybe than what they should at times. I think this episode was a lot more fair overall. Um, maybe not in the necessarily like who wins it, but as much as who was in the bottom, definitely. Um, I definitely think the person who went home unfortunately deserve to go home this week just based on the fact that they haven't really stood out in the best way so far as far as like a lot of the other queens. I'm not saying that they are the worst queen ever. I hate them or anything like that. I just think that taking the consideration of the last couple of weeks into this thought as well and what happened this week, I clearly see why this queen was um set packing. Though she is still a very talented queen, we shouldn't say anything bad about her for that reason, though.
hmm
Because,
It
only
was still
one girl's going to
sad.
win at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's still sad though. The writing was kind of on the wall and has been on the wall, I think, for a
Yeah.
few episodes, just kind of based off of how, unfortunately, she was kind of presented here. She didn't necessarily, I think, get the best at it, but at the same time, though, too, uh, I think her boot is justified. I don't necessarily agree 100% if I think the right bottom two ultimately happened. I don't really know
Oh,
my
not that.
feelings
Oh, okay.
100%. We'll talk about that later, but I want to really get into one thing about this episode because while I'm still optimistic, I'll be optimistic even with this shady ass judging. Um, I, we need to talk about the polarizing moment that happened this episode because everybody is talking about this Untucked segment and they have feelings one way or another. I personally wasn't that invested until everybody else got invested. So I kind of want to do a little bit of a deep dive here into both sides so we can kind of discuss the events that went down here, kind of get to the heart of the issue, and see if maybe we could figure out why people are feeling one way or another about the situation here. Um, if you haven't watched the episode, go watch it, obviously. We're going to kind of run through what actually happened in the event here first before we get into our opinions on it, because I want to make sure that we know the events and the facts before we get into feelings, because as Rue says, feelings are not facts. Set us up here, y'all. Obviously, we have the girls group challenge this week, which everybody's pretty excited for, other than Miranda. But Miss Nehellenia, she was having a week this week, and you could tell she was kind of in her feelings. I feel like from maybe the start of the episode, because she feels some type of way from being the second to last person picked here, even though she is good at dancing and has proved herself in the situation, which we also need to also kind of take into account here as well. The people that were selecting the teams here, the two people that we ultimately would say, I guess, would be considered the worst dancers, Miranda and Vanity, they were team captains, so they were not up to be chosen from here. Who knows if she would still be one of the last few people up there at the end if different people were captains. But, things happened the way they did, and she was picked when she was. But at this point, I don't think that made her feel any better about her position or her feelings with the other girls here because she reveals to Gala and Kitty while they're preparing for the challenge that she feels that some of the girls are underestimating her and she doesn't want to name names. It's implied here that it is Alyssa Edwards and Kween Kong. At least that's what I kind of got from the implication that she was giving, considering she was going no to specific people outright, and then when they questioned Alyssa and Queen, it was maybe okay. Well, no, that's a yes. So Back in our Untucked segment, our safe queens of Alyssa, Eva, Gala, Soa, and Tessa are discussing their thoughts on the performances, with Miranda receiving the majority of their playful shade about the performance here. Alyssa says she thinks Queen and Kitty are in the top, and then asks the girls who they think are in the bottom. Gala and Eva respond Miranda definitely, with Gala adding her second bottom would be Pythia. Soa says that she hopes that isn't the case, saying she thinks Nelly is in the bottom. Alyssa ends the segment out by saying, quote, I could see Pythia or Nelly in the bottom with Miranda. Miranda is the for sure. Okay? Now, when all the queens are then reunited and the safe queens try to openly guess what happens next, Alyssa voices her top two as Kitty and Kong. When Miranda says, maybe Nelly, Soa does kind of make a confused face while processing this information, and Alyssa does ask Miranda to clarify that she meant for the top. Miranda says yes, to which Alyssa goes, oh, she was mentioned for someone's bottom, to which Soa goes, oh yeah, in agreement. We then get a confessional from Nelly, who discusses her perspective, saying she's watching all of these faces being surprised around her because they think it's impossible that she could potentially be in the top this week. Nelly again is kind of processing things and is feeling some type of way throughout. And it's kind of clear that she's not very happy, especially while Pythia and Miranda and Vanity are kind of having a little moment there to discuss their feelings for being in the bottom. Now, when Alyssa gives Nelly a chance to share her feelings about her critiques, she shares her very positive feedback, ending with, quote, so they don't underestimate me like some of you do, end quote, saying she doesn't feel like everyone respects her very much. Soa, Alyssa, Vanity, and Queen all get very vocal at this point, defending their points of view, but Nelly does not want to name any names openly here. She doesn't feel like people respect her, and once again, she doesn't feel like naming specific individuals here is important. Now, at this point, Miranda gets up from the couch to go change for her lip sync, followed soon by Soa, who goes to help the bottom girls change, but it's not really fully explained why she gets up to go, but that's why she ends up going there. And Vanity also storms away here at this point, because she's kind of over Nelly's attitude at this point. While Queen gets very heated here, saying she doesn't have time for someone who will say that there is a problem, but won't say who it's directed to. End scene. Now, girl, this was a lot of emotion for Safe.
It
Like,
was high, actually, it was high. It was high.
this was like a lot. But like what I'm really see happening here now on the interwebs with the fandom is a very strong rising of support for Nehellenia, with their basis really being that she was gaslit during the whole situation, given that moments earlier, Soa and Alyssa had said that Nelly was in their bottom group. So reading into all of this, I think we're to assume more than likely that Nelly is feeling some type of way, probably about Soa, Alyssa, and I would also kind of throw Queen in there because she's only really been edited around Alyssa 24/7. So it feels like she would probably be within this group as well too, considering she's one of the other girls that kind of spoke up here. Now, Nelly's supporters are also kind of saying that the reason why she's not calling out a specific name is because they feel like she would likely get backlash from the fandom for it, given that Alyssa specifically is such a beloved queen. Now, I will also defend Nelly to some degree here because as a second language, her English is her second language here. I know she does not have the strongest grasp on the language, and there's many nuances in English that just don't really make sense in other languages. So I don't blame her maybe for jumbling up her words here and there and saying everybody when she really means only some of the people, in regards to how she's trying to defend herself. I'm also very clear she's probably not good with confrontation. She doesn't seem like she's, someone who really keeps her head in those kind of situations very well, given the fact that she is a little bit more shy. So, given all of this, I'm sure she's kind of nervous, So, I ultimately here think that the situation just escalated far too quickly and was clearly edited here in a way to make it the most dramatic version of events possible because we all know that they're not just sitting back there for the 5 minutes that we saw. So it's very clearly more story that happened here. But from what we have been shown, I don't think that the girls, or what the girls were saying specifically about Nelly here, was all that bad. Especially given the fact they were shading Miranda the most the entire time and just said it was possible she was in the bottom. I also really think Nelly needed to name the individuals specifically here because how is anybody who is in the wrong, or at least in this point, that they're saying that yes, they're gaslighting her for not saying anything, or not, for knowing who exactly are the people that are shading, or supposedly shading her. But at the same time, though, too, if she's not going to publicly call them out, then people that have no idea what's going on, like the audience, are just going to be even more confused if you speak in generalizations. So she goes back and forth a bit between being like specific people that she's having a problem with and then saying everybody quite a bit, which is why Vanity, I think, gets really upset about it because she points that out. And as part of the reason why she's getting upset to, get up off the couch. So there's a pretty clear difference, I think, here too, between someone not liking you as a person and saying they would have put you in the bottom for a performance on a competition show. So I don't necessarily think this qualifies as gaslighting. Like, I think we're being a little dramatic here. Um, Nelly was
How
clearly in
dare
her
you?
head. She felt some type of way. I don't think this Untucked moment was the right time for her to say it either. She should have brought it up the next morning to let the bottom girls have some time to be in her feelings. Like, I'll be honest, like I said, both sides, I see both sides. I think both sides are justified in their feelings, but this is not a black and white situation as one person is right and one person's wrong. It's very clearly a misunderstanding, and we're throwing in the fact that there's a competition at hand here. Um, and it was all blown out of proportion, ultimately, at the end of the day here. Jack, I know I just ranted and talked for a very long time. I apologize, but I want you now go ahead and give me your thoughts on the situation. Do you agree with me here? Was this all just stupid?
I think it's definitely blown out of proportion. I think there's definitely a lot to be said here. Um, I don't want to take away from Nellie's feelings because I think her feelings are valid to be like upset or feel like maybe people don't treat you the same way. I also want to make it well known that Nellie um, may just be having issues, finding common ground with the girls. And at this point, it has been 6 days. And in fact, I want to talk about what Queen had put on Twitter specifically, or X, if you want to call it that. Because she gives us a lot more background to the situation than what we saw in the edit, which I think is a really important thing we have to understand is that this is an edit. We did not see the full scenario. We did not see what happened when. Some of the things said can be taken out of context. Some of the reactions may be taken out of context. And some of the issues here may be taken out of context. The first thing that I want to note here is that Queen says that we saw the last 5 minutes of a chat that went for over 45 minutes. And she said it went around in circles. She said when the conversation started, Nelly spoke, and they started off gently just asking her who or what she was talking about, because at that point, a lot of them didn't know what happened to make her feel that way. And she said that none of the tops or the bottoms got to talk about their critiques because Untucked was used up with us trying to understand what was happening with Nelly. Mind you, she told you that they met each other 6 days before this moment happened. So it's not like they're like besties or anything at this point, right? Queen also explains that the girls who stormed off, or it looked like they did that, were actually told to come back and talk about their critiques because no one got that time to talk and they had to have them talk about it. Oop. And I think what was really important there is that the whole time was literally taken away from this conversation with Nelly of Untucked. So the producers actually had to have the girls come back to talk about what was said on the runway because they never got into that. So you can kind of understand that if this conversation went on for so long, that even all of Untucked was gone, and the producers actually had to make the girls like get it together to get the shots in for Untucked. You know, this was probably a much longer conversation than what we saw, and a lot of things going on. Now, another thing she mentions is that she doesn't like the fact that uh, people are making out to seem like they're bullying her, or that she wasn't welcome, or that they didn't want to understand Nelly. But because of the edit, it looks kind of similar to that, and that maybe the frustration in the situation looks like an attack on her feelings, which she says is not the case. And in fact, she says she talked to Nelly the night before at dinner to reassure her about the feelings that she had, and how everyone comes from different backgrounds, have different senses of humors and languages, and though they're competing with each other, they're competing for Rue's attention, and like they're not trying to be disrespectful. Finally, she notes that the girls who stormed off only did so because they had to get ready for the lip sync or to help the other girls get ready for their lip syncs. And so that was like Kween Kong's somewhat summed up version of the scenario that we saw happen here. And I think it's important for us to note that, you know, Kween Kong especially is getting a lot of the brunt of hate here, which I think is interesting, seeing that Queen is one of the only queens of color that happen to be, well, I should say not the only queens of color. Queen is one of the only queens who happens to specifically have a lot of color in her skin. Like, um, as one of the only queens, only the black queens on the season, Queen getting a lot of hate because she used a word that is more commonly used in her own culture is really strange. And people are just taking this all out of context and making her seem like this terrible bad person. And I just think that that's like, the racism showing in the fandom again. Like, I think we all just need to cool down, take a step back, and realize that the show is edited. We don't get to see everything. Unless we get to see live feeds of them 24/7, we can't say this was 100% this way or that way.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is very fair and valid to say as well, Jack. Again, at the end of the day, it's very heightened reality. It comes with a lot of stress. It's very important to remember, don't send hate to any of the queens, y'all, directly. Because at the end of the day, don't y'all want the drama? Like, this is why we can't have drama on the show anymore. Because something happens, there's a
Mhm.
misunderstanding, and everybody has to go up in arms and be like, "Oh my god, like y'all are the worst." Like, no, like they were not gaslighting for whatever shape or form that people are trying to say here. There's not some big conspiracy going on. Um, that they need to like cover up as the girls, like they literally had no idea what was happening here. And I guarantee you, if they knew that they felt this way, that they would probably change the way that they were acting towards Nehellenia here. Like I don't think there's any sort of malice really that deep involved here. um but I also do kind of want to offer another reason, as well as what you mentioned there as well here too, for all this possible madness too. And we kind of already kind of touched on it here, but a lot of it could be due to the production and the fact that it seems like again all the Rude Judge girls are getting a little favoritism to a lot of favoritism. And over the last few months, clearly we see queens like Lemon or Tia Coffee, etc., get a lot of hate when it seems like they're kind of like the production darlings per se, even if their track records in a lot of cases are truly justified. So it does feel kind of like a bit that they are using this as a reason to get even more kind of heated about all of it. Like, okay, well, not only are you like production favorites, but now you're gaslighting other competitors. How dare you? But I don't know. Like, it's just for me. I personally think we should all just take the Tessa approach and just sit and giggle from the sidelines. Because personally, it's good drama, but like if we're gonna sit here and hate the girls because they're just being humans and having a misunderstanding, clearly like we're missing the point of what this whole entertainment is supposed to be. And it's just like, eh, can we just take a step back, y'all? Can we just breathe and just enjoy the entertainment for what it is? Because there's just, yeah, a lot. The fact that we had to spend 20 minutes talking about this at this point, just to me, is just like kind of crazy. But I do think it's very important to bring it up here because, again, everybody's justified, I think, in their opinions. But it's just very important to be a little graceful, y'all. Have a little tact, and maybe not be so quick to get angry about things or opinions that are different than our own. Again, a little more understanding would go a long ways here, y'all. But I want to get off my soapbox here and let's talk
Well,
about
wait, I got something to
the
say real
stuff.
quick.
Oh, okay. Jack wants to get back
I
on
just
the
want to bring up
soapbox
a
here.
point that,
Okay.
like, last week, everyone was really mad about Tessa being in the top, and the girls were, like, being really, like, shady to her, and she, although delusionally, was like, well, girls, I don't deserve that hate. And all the girls were like, yes, you do. Everyone wanted her in the bottom last week, and no one seemed to care. I'm just saying, it's just interesting. I get it. She did not do great in the final outfit, but the other two outfits she had on were good. So I don't know why people were like that mad. I don't know, but no one was mad about her getting attacked or anything. I'm just saying, based on
Yeah, I
the edit.
feel
I
that.
shouldn't say she was actually being attacked. I'm just saying based on the edit.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like what they have been saying or they said or what we've been shown at least at this point is any different than what happens in any other season. Like everybody always has a critique, or their own personal opinions about things. I mean, obviously, like I said, we've been shown far less in the workroom here than we possibly ever could have been shown. So, again, Nellie's reality is her perception is her reality. So she's definitely justified to feel the way that she feels. Um, it, do I wish that she brought it up at a different time? Yeah, sure. But she's valid to feel the way she feels about whatever, and I also feel that the other girls are valid in their opinions as well too. At the end of the day, it is a competition, and some people are slightly more cutthroat than other people. You don't, like I do think what Soa did say I think it is slightly more maybe an American mindset. I want to think as far as like just being so cutthroat in competition, but I just don't think what they were saying was all that different. I don't know. I just think again it's something that has been completely escalated just for the sake of um, a little bit of drama. But um, again, please don't send hate out to the Queens because they are very talented, and we want them to have more interesting and enlightening and dramatic discussions like this. And hating on them for things that I think they're again being blown way out of proportion. I just think it's just a little crazy, but you know, um, again, we all enjoy our media and get invested in different ways, But I think there's a way to get invested and be invested in things without being hateful. But let's talk about something a little bit more positive here. Let's go ahead and since we're already going out of order, anyways, let's just discuss the runway here first, Jack. Because I know you like your runways here. This week's category is "Color My World," a runway that needs to have at least two colorful reveals, and another week where I literally have like 50 plus screen caps, which is ridiculous. But let's go ahead and maybe just do a quick snap or slap round for all these girls, and we go in the order that they hit the runway as well too. Starting with Gala Varo, doing a Frida Kahlo inspired reveal here, and I absolutely snap this one. So good. I like all three of the looks here. Um, she stayed true to what she was trying to go here. I get the story. And I would say I really like all three of them, honestly. I don't really have any real critiques for any of them. I think they're very good. She did well.
I have to snap this. This is my favorite of the night, I think, by far. Um, her first look in the green to the with the details of the pink, and she takes this off, and I will say, okay, just so everyone knows, maybe we can see a little bit of the pink underneath where we could kind of see what it was going to change into, but it wasn't like it was that crazy because when it comes off, we see this. beautiful pink with the hearts, and finally this white strap is beautiful. I love that she still stays her character of like she doesn't really talk. She has this organ on her, which is a heart, which makes sense with her whole thing, and she has that nice little cape train on it. Love this. Gala Varo definitely still hitting the runway pretty strong throughout the whole competition. I love to see it.
Yeah, now I'm looking at all of them all together. I think it's definitely my favorite of the three, or of everything we saw here too as well. Um, Definitely great night for Gala personally. Little surprised she's not in the top, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Next queen, Miss Eva Le Queen, giving us a Disney evil queen inspired interpretation here. And I'll give her a snap. I enjoyed this. I thought it was very simple. Each look was pretty simple, and for the most part, I don't think really anybody brought too much like crazy detail, ornate outfits here. I mean, it's a reveal. There's only so much you can kind of hide into. So I'm not going to hold any of that against her here. I thought all three looks looked really good here. I wish we could have got to see the second look for a little bit longer, editors. But um, and I didn't really understand the red dress reference at first. Um,
For Cruella?
but I guess it's yeah. I didn't. Well, I mean, I don't watch. I guess it's maybe from the live action one. I didn't get the red
Okay,
dress
Cruella with the
reference,
red
but
dress is very iconic. Very,
okay.
yeah.
I don't. I feel like I only recognize. I'll be honest. I'm not like a big 101 Dalmatians fan or whatever, but I only recognized like the coat and the coat. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Did she always have like a red lip?
I believe
Am I
so.
imagining it? Okay, then I guess I could see her in a red dress then. So snap.
Definitely a snap. Cruella always is known for, like you said, the red lip, but like the black and white, obviously, which is where we got the end. Um, it wasn't one of my favorites of the night, but it's a snap. I think it looked a little kind of rough when she took off the first cape of Maleficent. I love that she removed the horns kind of dramatically. I was like, oh, this is fun. She takes off, reveals a purple cape kind of thing with the same collar to give us the evil queen from Snow White. And she puts on this crown, which I don't know that like I could have done this a better way, so I'm not gonna hate on it. It just wasn't my favorite part of her reveal there. And then finally taking off into this red dress. I love that she like scrapped it, and then here we are. She has the black gloves through all of them, which is really fun. I love that she has the wig reveal there to get the Cruella half black, half white. Maybe it wasn't the strongest looks, but definitely a snap. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I'd put her probably somewhere in the middle. Definitely a safe look. Um, our next look, Miranda. Uh, she was giving us a storyline here, as being like a boy who wants to play with a soccer doll, wearing a dress. Then goes into a little girl with a doll, and then sorry, a boy in a dress with a doll, maybe, or is a girl with a dress and a doll? I don't actually. I don't think I understand
It's
the
boy with
storyline.
a boy in a dress with the soccer ball into girl with a doll. I don't know.
And then non-binary flag at the end. I guess I kind of interpretations of gender. Not. I love the idea. Oof, this was rough. This was rough. Um, I'm gonna slap this one. I don't like the first look. The second look is confusing with the doll, and I get the concept, but I don't like the execution of it. The last look's probably the best of the three, but I don't really
Yeah.
like the material of it. I don't know. It's just is I would give this one a big slap.
So I think maybe her first look is the most like where the material is probably the best. I'm not a huge fan of this material, but for what she's doing it as like a young boy with a soccer ball, like I see this like concept, in this in like the school, I guess, like a bigger shirt than what maybe they normally wear. And then the second look, the pink with the doll. It's like once she explained it, I got it, but I was like, well, that's not getting it right away. It's kind of like taking back. Also, I don't think the makeup went with all three outfits, which is I think is also part of the problem. And then the final look was a good choice. I loved this was the end of it, but again, you mentioned it, the fabric. It's just I know it's hard, but this fabric is just so wadded up and like wrinkled, and it looks cheap. So it's a slap, unfortunately.
Our next queen, Tessa, giving us the clown jester fantasy here, and she goes from a like more traditional, let's say like pink clown, to reveal to like a kind of a more classier blue clown to a hoe of an orange clown. And I love all three looks here. I think the second one's maybe my favorite, but I love the reveal that she did and how she came out of that second dress, where she like just pulls the string out the middle and the dress kind of just falls apart around her. I thought that was so cool. By far, Tessa is really bringing it here on the runway. I was not expecting Tessa to be a runway queen. Uh, Out of this group here, I'm honestly kind of surprised she's not one of the first two out, and she has actually like deep run in her, possibly. Ooh. Definitely huge snaps for Tessa tonight. One of my favorites.
I mean, okay, so Tessa had one of my faves of the night actually, which I was shocked because I wasn't expecting that. Like she has been doing pretty well on the runway. I have to give her credit where credit's due. And I mean, I think everyone kind of just thought she was out because maybe her makeup's not the best, and maybe she's not like she wasn't the most prepared for the talent show, so everyone kind of like thought that she wasn't there. But no, this was fun. Like a full on dress is a great choice for her first. Like since you have to do two reveals, which I think is a lot when you don't like have more time. You know, she has the party hat on. She takes it off, reveals her hair. It's actually pretty nice. Um, and I think something that's fun here is because she keeps the clown aesthetic through it all. Like the blue dress is a nice blue dress. It's got these big fluffles kind of thing. I don't know what I would call them exactly. I called them fluffles because they're just on her arm right there, and they kind of match like the mermaid almost style of the dress. Like it's not exactly a mermaid style, but it's close. And we have those like those big poofy balls down the middle of it, which continues that huge clown aesthetic. And when she rips it off into the orange, I actually think the orange is my favorite because the like fluffles have gone from her hands to her feet, covering her shoes. And I love the little details of like the little orbs that have been placed all around them. It really screams fun, crazy clown. And I wasn't expecting this, and I think it's fun. I love it. Definitely a snap for Tessa tonight.
Absolutely. Next queen, Miss Alyssa Edwards, and she gives us a sun, moon, stars fantasy here. And um, I gotta say, this first look, I laughed so fucking hard when she walked out with this. It was giving like what, like real life Teletubby Sunshine Baby. Like this shit is just so stupid, so campy. I can't say that like I love any piece of this. I'll be honest. Like it's like the blue one, especially that blue dress is terrible, and that moon looks
Oh
so
yeah.
bad. Um, but like I do like the last one. I like the star leotard. I think she looks good in it. And I I'll give it a soft snap, very soft snap, just because it's not terrible. I see the concept. It's just that middle one is so bad. So if it wasn't for that, if that middle one could just be a little bit more, just anything, I would be perfectly fine with this. So soft snap.
So I don't mind this first one from her, the sun thing. I actually at first I was like, is that a flower? And then like she revealed and I said, oh, okay. So I like the headpiece and how it's literally just a bunch of tulle around. And I got it that it was the sun after I saw the second part, right? So like I got it. The second dress is unforgivable. It is a piece of fabric wrapped around her body with a poorly made moon shape on top of it. Um, Not good. The final part, I agree with you. I actually like this. I would have thought this was a great final reveal. I think had the second part been better, because let's be real, with all that material from the first, you're telling me you couldn't have gotten something better than a piece of fabric with a around a corset on there? Girl, bye. It's gonna have to be a slap, a small slap, because I did like two parts of it, but that third part is, well, the second part of it is unforgivable. I'm sorry,
It
Alyssa.
really
It's just
is. I get it though.
It,
I get
it's
it.
it's so bad.
I
She
get
wasn't
it.
even the worst of the night, so let's put it there too.
That is
Remember, she
true.
is not even close to the worst of the night. So,
Well, our next look here, Miss Soa de Muse, and I think she was giving us initially like an opera style storyline here with her first two looks. And her first two looks here are really, really awesome. I really like both of them. The second one, the Valkyrie look, was probably actually in the running maybe for my favorite like individual look of the night here. Even though the first reveal really is kind of literally just like a is it even like is she just holding it up too? Is it this thing that breaks piece of fabric that breaks on it? Like so it's not even really on her costume. I don't know. I don't really care. But the second look is really good. I really like it. Third look though, I don't understand it. I don't understand how it plays into her storyline that's going on here. I think she said something like it was like referencing like her friend. Does her friend do opera? I don't really get it, uh, nor do I really like it. But because I really like the first two parts, because and unlike Jack, I will give them benefit if I like two out of the three. I'll give her a snap.
okay, so Soda Muse has my second favorite of the runways this week, I think, and it is a big part because the first part, yes, she is holding this thing in front of her, and it is like a cape down. But you know what? I have seen worse from people who have accepted less kind of thing. And the way that it actually comes apart is very fun because she opens it up and throws it out kind of thing to really show off these wings. And the second part of it is so beautiful. This like it's like the ancient, like what the biblical angels look like kind of thing, headpiece, and this like tin corset thing over top with the tulle and the gown, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And then she like flips it off, throws it all away to this fun like bodysuit with this weird like reflective purpley pink, the makeup down her face. And I think that's something I really love here too is each part slowly began to uncover more and more of her face and her expression, right? Like we could see her mouth in the second part since we couldn't see anything in the beginning. But the mask was covering up all the purple pretty much, so we didn't know what that was coming. And then her hair was so long and rainbow, and I just thought it was really fun. I thought this was a really great look, a really great performance on the runway from Soa. Very proud of her. Definitely a good snap for the week.
Our next queen, Miss Pythia, giving us a monster under her bedroom fantasy runway type deal here. I really liked Pythia's first look here. I thought it was really fun, really imaginative, really goofy, very just something I would expect to see from Pythia. Even though it's something like I couldn't really even like comprehend to make myself. Like this just feels like okay, I feels like this is right coming from her. The second look, I think it's probably the more fashionable, I guess, of the three. I do like the eye inspired crochetness of this outfit. I think it's really cool. The final look, I think it's my least favorite of the three. I get
Definitely the
the
same.
inspiration for it. I just don't really I just don't really like it. I'll be honest. I get if you would do enjoy it though. I'm not gonna yuck your yum, because it's well made. For me, personal taste, I'm not really into this portion of it. But I like the first two parts, so I'm gonna give it a snap.
So I'm definitely gonna give this a snap, but I want to talk about it a little bit. The first part, the whole concept are these eyes, right? Which I think is fun. The first part, though, I wasn't 100% certain about the eyes. I thought it was just, all these different faces, and like some of them just weren't fully formed or weren't fully seen. And I thought the two legs coming out were really funny. I was like, this is funny. It looks like it's on like a quilted bed thing. I don't know what it was made of. It was funny. It was great. She reveals this off, and I want to take this as like time. Like I'm not hating on Pythia, and I'm not hating on Soa, but like to me, this is the same thing where you can just use anything, cover your full body, can't see any of you, have any shape you want. though this is a way more extreme version and more detailed version than Soa's. This is what I mean about like you can do this kind of thing for these looks because she still made it. She still got on the runway. It looked great. The Evil Eye inspired crochet. You know, it's not my favorite fabric choice, but I think it's really fun how she did this and used this. So I really enjoyed this in like a couture, like this is a fun reveal kind of thing. I would never wear this myself. No, neither would anyone else. And don't comment saying I would love to wear. No, you don't. Stop lying to me and stop lying to everyone else. I hate it. Just because you like her doesn't mean you can say it. On the runway, great. Anywhere else, no. But this is really fun. Um, and I love the shape of it actually because it's very I don't want to say cylindrical, but it's almost like a cone that never gets to the tip, right? And just the fun fact of like the eye being everything, and the collar or like part around her neck specifically is still the same colors of the eye, which I think is really fun. And that she purposely like made it this way, and all the eyes are like the same color palette. So really enjoyed it. And the final one, I want to shout out that it's still the eye theme, and it's a lot of different random patterns and crap here. It's not my fave. I'm not a huge fan of it. But but that being said, I think she took a risk, and I think it turned out well. I actually really found myself enjoying this more the more I looked at it because I was like, it's so chaotic and messy, but it makes sense with everything that was presented here tonight. Like you would never wear this anywhere, right? Except for this runway. And I think that's what made it so fun. And the fact that she made it so colorful as a pop because we really went from white and some red to these like cooler blues and blacks and then to every color imaginable. So like it was really fun. Definitely hit the category. Definitely a snap for her.
Absolutely, absolutely. Up next, Vanity Vain, and I don't even have enough patience to screen cap every single reveal that she did. She was having a Nina West lip sync moment here, revealing to every single flag that exists in the LGBT community.
That's not
And
true. It was not all of them.
okay, the vast majority of them. And
No, it
I'll be
wasn't even the vast
honest.
majority. It was a minority.
I don't. Well, regardless, I still don't know if this was extremely successful. I love the idea behind it, but for me, I think only maybe the last look and then the trans. Just no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the middle, the long dress that she had here.
The
Probably the only
trans
two that
icon
she.
flag.
Yeah, I was right. Okay, it was the transplant. Yeah. So those are the only two that I really kind of enjoyed. Everything else is kind of just a hot mess for me. Um, I haven't slapped anybody tonight. Am I gonna slap anybody tonight? Um, I'll give her a soft. Oh, I slapped Miranda. You know what? I'm gonna give Vanity a soft slap here, just because I think she could have been. None of these looks are super strong to me, and she just went for quantity over quality. I think, which I think was a mistake.
So I agree with you that she went for quantity over quality, but I did like some of the reveals, and I just want to go like in order really quickly. The first look, the rainbow flag, like kind of ugly, but kind of loved a lot of the concepts of it. It was a very much like a boxy shape with brown and black arms, which I did note. I saw that. I loved the inclusion of the brown and black stripes kind of thing for a more newer aged flag, even though there's one that's even more updated, but she got to that eventually anyways. So I was like, I liked the idea, didn't necessarily like the concept, but the hair was kind of fun at least. It was out of the way of things. It's not the great outfit, but then she reveals into the pansexual pride flag, which I thought was a great idea because it was fringe everywhere. But I think the issue is that the fringe didn't go all over itself. Like the yellow needed to extend into the blue, but you can see the complete like the lines of it, and the pink up top didn't have the fringe because it was going to reveal then into the trans pride dress, which I actually thought was very successful. Um, because it looked good. It was just a dress that like was basically like wadded up and stuff, but turned into a nice dress. But for a 3-in-1, I thought this was a good choice, even though she did like 6-in-1. And I actually felt like her transformation into the non-binary flag, like little tutu kind of style dress was actually kind of successful. Um, but her final look, the intersex flag one, like specifically like the yellow head wrapping around the swimsuit and the circle placement is just it's so good. It's so good. I think this is a real statement piece. I love this. I think this is fun. I like the material it was made of. Um, Especially because she like essentially got rid of her wig for a head wrap. I gave this a snap, actually. I know that overall there were a lot of messy pieces, but I cannot say that anyone on the list below where I have her placed didn't have messy issues during this, and she actually ranked in like my top five. I know that's shady and kind of crazy, but
I
hear me
mean, I haven't
out.
actually ranked them yet. I'm just kind of looking at them again. It might. I do like elements of hers more than some others here. So she might end up actually getting pushed up probably a little bit here, but I don't think she'll be in my top five. But she might be like six or seven. Uh, how many
There are
girls are left
definitely
right
like,
now? There's 11. So yeah, she'd probably.
yeah,
I
we
think I
have.
could see her being probably six top for me.
I mean, yeah, it's. I'm not saying she has to be top five for anyone. I'm just saying that like it's definitely not even close to the worst this week. And I
Oh, for
think
sure.
that thing that you said about quantity over quality kind of thing, it's just if we had pulled back on a few of the ideas, maybe um, would be great. But overall, definitely a snap still.
Well, someone who's definitely getting a slap for me right now is going to be Queen Kong.
Ooh,
I love you, Queen. I really do. But this, this, does it even count as a three in one? Because the second one is literally just
no,
fabric wrapped around her
no,
body,
it
and the
sure
first
don't
look
count
is
as a three and
literally
one.
a coat and a big hat. It's just like this is no, there's no creativity here at all whatsoever. It's just Uh, this could uh, like at least Miranda's had a concept. This has no concept. If it does have a concept, I don't get it. Slap.
Okay, so I just want to say that I think it is wrong to say it's just a coat, and a big hat. I think this was such a great look when she first came out. I was like,
It is
I've been
good.
living for
It
this.
is amazing for another runway.
These huge ass shoulders and giving her body real proportion here too is really fun. Like I love that she has a huge ass hat on and these huge shoulders sticking out kind of thing because I just think it's fun to play with these types of shapes that just make her look so unique and like again this is like one of those things you probably wouldn't wear out, although I'd probably wear it out before a lot of the other pieces I saw on this runway. This
You
is
would
fun
wear
for
this one
me.
out. This one you could wear out. This
Yeah,
was
yeah, you could
definitely
definitely wear this
the
out.
best element out of this whole thing. It's just there's no concept whatsoever after
I
it.
don't necessarily think there has to be like the biggest concept because it's about color popping, right? And so the pink definitely color popped into eventually we got to the black. So I like that there was enough creative like choices here for like the color contrast. It's just the second part is a piece of fabric wrapped around her body, tied on in an ugly green, by the way, that matches the crown. Like the part of the green that's showing mostly is great. The under part of the green that like snaps it together over here, terrible, just to match the crown. And she takes it off, thank God, to this black uh leather leather latexy bodysuit that says Queen Kong, Queen horizontal, Kong down vertically. It's not the best fitted. I love the shoes. I like that she has a crown on her head for the queen. I love her hair, and I love the silver like bracelets. But it's not great. It's and it's not fitted the best because we can see her like corset and everything just sticking out through when we get into it. Overall, it's definitely a slap. Sorry, queen.
Up
It's what you
next,
deserve, though.
it really is what she deserves. I'm sorry. We're sorry. Up next, we have Nehellenia, who's giving us a Finding Nemo storyline that I thought was a lot of fun here. This is an example of doing more than three looks, but having all of them be very quality, as far as I'm concerned. I love the coral reef look, which I mean, obviously, again, it's just a gigantic coat. Wouldn't actually probably wear this as an actual piece, but I still think it's a beautiful garment. She reveals two, which is probably the weakest of the three, the jellyfish look, because you can kind of tell it has a reveal in it. But I'm glad that she hides it as a jellyfish, because I mean, generally those when you do a look like this, does kind of look like a jellyfish, so I get it. And then she goes into her Dory look, which is a lot of fun. Going and finally ending with the Nemo look, which I think she looks really cute in, and I would definitely give her a huge snap. She had one of my favorite concepts of the night for sure.
So I really like her concept. It was very clear what she was doing. Other than the first one, I didn't get the coral reef till someone told me. I literally asked you before this, what was this? Because I had forgotten. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the coral reef. Again, it's kind of like what you said it about the second one about the jellyfish. It was clearly a reveal, but like that again, that's fine. That's fine. I know that the girls have to do two reveals. It's excessive. It's really not necessary as a category, but so I'm not a huge fan of this first one. I actually would have preferred if this one was taken off and she just come out like kind of squiggly as a jellyfish for us because it really gave me the impression of like Detox's jellyfish look from the fishy runway that they asked them to do or whatever it was called. Um, so I really enjoyed this actually, and if she had just like twirled in it, I think that'd be fun. And the one thing I want to note is the transition between this and the next one to the Dory was a little rough, but she did get there, and I really enjoyed the trans not the transition, sorry, the look of Dory here because it was really fun to see this flowy gown and the yellow and red, or sorry, yellow and black, um, with the colorful blue everywhere and we got to see the stones. And then finally into this clownfish thing, which I think is really cute. I love the tool of it. I love that it's this latexy like plasticky kind of material. And I want to really say right now, love the choice of the large white boot. Love that choice. I think it looks so cute with her gloves, and definitely a snap for me. I would have personally taken out the coral look and maybe practiced the Dory one once more before, just for presentation reasons. But overall, a great night for her on the run.
And our final look here, Miss Kitty Scott-Claus, and oof. She said her concept was she's getting ready for a night out, so she's putting on a bunch of different dresses, which okay, sure. I mean, okay, she she has a concept. Um, I don't like any of these garments that she has on here. Maybe the last one, and like the first one is okay. I don't mind it as much actually. The first one's kind of cute. I do like the color of pink. It does pop. It is kind of a silhouette that I feel like she's kind of already had this season. I want to say, maybe it's just something she's kind of known for, but whatever. But the thing I do kind of like, other than the fact that it's a little bulky, is the fact that it doesn't look like a dress that would have a reveal necessarily, 100%. So I will give her that for her opening look. It's not like just a trash bag that she put over herself or a gigantic coat. It is a garment. But every other look other than that, I don't think is very successful here for me. It is kind of just a bunch of basic dress. I don't like that blue dress at all. I do like the sleeves on it, but I don't like the just something about the fabric choice. I just don't think I like any of it. None of the dresses to me look very opulent or elegant or elevated or anything. They just yeah, slap.
Okay, so let me just start by saying this. I know this is a slap, and I 100% agree this is a slap. I'm not giving her any favoritism. I just want to talk about it. The first pink dress, I really love the structuring. I love the boning on the hips. I love this period piece look, right? The next one, this yellow dress is horrid, and I think she should have just cut this out, honestly, because I think her reveal would have been better had it just been pink to blue to orange. I really believe that like the wig was funny. It was like whatever. I like the blue look a lot actually because it's another period piece. Those huge overarms and the skirt kind of dress thing. It's really cute. It's short. It's really basic, right? It's extremely basic. But whatever. She's doing different colors, I guess. My biggest issue still here, though, the shoes and the pantyhose. I'm not a big fan of this. I think she could have found better for this. I think if you're gonna be this basic, you need to have details in each of the dresses and make them look good, kind of thing. It can't just be a sparkly piece of fabric wrapped around your body, which kind of is what it is. At least it is cut differently for each of them, I thank God. But like that's it. And then finally, the last one doesn't even hug her body well, in my opinion. It should have been a little lower so we don't see so much of her crotch, like if she walks even one step. And I like the idea of it being like an asymmetrical cut down to the right, but again, since it was literally like folded up to begin with, you could have just had more fabric and folded it up. Like it was possible to make this look at least better. This looks like someone had like 5 minutes to make four different dresses for Vanna White. I'm sorry, that's rude. Not only number two and number four look like they had like 5 minutes to make. And I know that there's bounding in that corset part of the orange, but it doesn't even give us enough to really deal with this. The shape isn't great for me. It's a huge slap, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say that this was a fun runway. I do think you're right here that I think just two plus reveals might just be a little too much here. Um, but it was a fun attempt. It's finally time, y'all, to discuss the girl groups. There's no mini challenge this week, so again, to pick team captains, they have to guess the population of their own countries, and the three that come the closest without going over pick teams yielding Vanity, Miranda, and Queen as the captains. I have to laugh here as a side note, as Alyssa's 100 billion for the U.S. But I love her explanation that she's doing it because of all the multiple personalities, which, yeah, I get. It's true. So now
Definitely
in
get
this,
that.
in this challenge, we get three different mixes of Everybody Say Love. Um, do you think one was more of an advantage here between the Latinx, K-pop, or Europop? Because for me personally, I don't think I would have wanted to do K-pop. It seemed like the hardest out of the three.
Um, well, I think it comes down to what you want your verse to be about, honestly, because the Everybody Say Love songs were kind of messy, depending on who was doing it and like what they wanted to say. I think I really love the Latin one personally, but like I just really love that kind of type of music. Whereas like I think the K-pop was the one where I was like, um, I needed to do some really good lyrics here because I think I needed to carry it more with the lyrics than I needed to carry it with the vibes of the music. So I think if you wanted to do that one, that's great, but like it wouldn't have been my first choice. So I think maybe there was some advantage depending on who you were and what you wanted. But I don't think it was like enough to say like, oh, you're going to end up in the bottom if you get this one, or someone from your group is definitely in the bottom because I think we saw that in each group there were real standouts and girls who did not stand out for the right reason.
Yeah, we could kind of run through each group as well here too. Going in the order they performed, we'll start out with Team Kween Kong, or known as The Vibe. Interesting name. With Soa de Muse and Pythia also featuring here. And just some backstory here. Queen won her girl group challenge, and she says she really wants to personalize her team's performance so everyone stands out. But honestly, I think she really kind of stands out the most here. You could really tell performing is her strength, and she was definitely, for me, the Beyonce of this group. Uh, Soa as well is here too, and she won her original girl group challenge here. I think she kept up with Queen, but it was a weird dynamic between the two. I don't know if it was because I do know again, like when we'll talk about it in a second here with Thea. I know they were going for a little bit of like a character situation. I don't know if I understood the storyline that they were going for, but it felt like they were kind of competing against each other more so than like working as a group. So especially with Queen and Soa. It was a weird dynamic. I don't know. But then we have Pythia here as well here too, and she kind of is the reason why, other than the weird chemistry again between all of them, where I think this group was Probably, yeah, no. They were in the middle here for me. What kept them from being my favorite was Pythia here, though. Unfortunately, was who she said uh in her girl group that she was in the top, but I think if I remember correctly, it was like a country thing, right? So, Latinx definitely not country, so I was definitely a little worried for our girl here. And she was really kind of bad. She was definitely very overshadowed compared to the other two. Between the lyrics here, I think Queen had my favorite lyrics, my favorite verse, and then I would say so. And then I do like that Pythia mixed the French Canadian with the English. Um, that's the only part that maybe saved her a little bit was I do think actually they had a strong lyrics as a team. So um, other than that though the performance was a little cringe. Thea was constantly off, constantly, and it just felt like again the synergy here there was really no synergy here for me. But overall, like I said, Queen stood out. Thea did not, and so was safe. So I agree with the judgment on this team here. Jack, what were your thoughts here on Team Divide?
I actually really liked this version of the song, and I really liked this performance from most of them. I have to tell you that I really think that this could have been a really top tier performance if it wasn't for Pythia. Um, and let me just say, like, no hate to Pythia. Like, I get what it's like to be a girl who maybe doesn't always understand or do like rhythm the easiest. Although I was always pretty good at keeping on rhythm just because it's like very mathematical. I'm not a good dancer. Okay, I'm not a good dancer. Let me keep that correct. Um, but something I really enjoyed here was just like the girls like really performing. You know, we had French coming in with the Latin vibes, which is like very fun because you can actually find a lot of like overlap there in some. This is too much. I'm talking too much about this. Um, there are some cultures where you can find that French overlapping with the Latin flavor in music, and it's a really fun thing. So it made sense with her, and not that any girl couldn't do their own language, obviously, but I felt like it was like a different vibe than than Queen, and it really worked well. But I liked Pythia trying to do her own thing, but I just felt like she didn't have enough energy. Like I feel like she was trying to do it on her face, and none of the moves she was like really being big about. And I feel like she had to, especially because she picked an outfit that was rather restrictive in the arms. If you don't do enough, you don't see enough action. So I think this just like took away from her performance. And like halfway through is when I got the idea that like she's supposed to be playing this. I don't even know if she was supposed to be playing a character that was supposed to be off or whatever. I have no idea about that. Maybe that's like an idea they came up with last minute for her not being able to get some of the moves before they had to perform. I'm not sure. It was unfortunately bad for her. Pythia stumbled real hard, missed some of the dance moves. It was really telling. But overall, the group did extremely well, in my opinion. Queen was definitely the standout here. So it did a fine job, and Pythia was just hard to watch because I just felt the energy like it was like I was like just the energy just like sucked out of it because I was like, "Where's the energy, girl? Come on, where is it?" Because Soa started off pretty well, and then Pythia was so meh. Then when Queen came out, I was like, "Damn, Queen like killed this whole thing. You girls need to bow down." Which don't get me wrong, I still think Queen did the best, but like it was just a really fun performance. I think for two of them, and then Pythia was there. She was like the white friend in the group that like gets brought out to the club with her other friends, and you kind of try to keep her on the beat because like for some reason she's on the 1 and 3. You're trying to get her on the 2 and 4. So eventually we might get there. It just didn't happen in this first song.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. Again, I don't think anybody did completely horrible, but I also don't think that really anybody completely like. I don't think we had like a complete standout performance. I felt like there was an issue with kind of every single group, but yeah, there was definitely some synergy issues there with whatever they were trying to go for. But overall, semi strong group one start. Group two for me though, fresh meat, the K-pop team of Team Miranda featuring Alyssa, Eva, and Tessa. I think their decision to challenge themselves with some very difficult choreography that Alyssa put together here. I don't know if this was the group that she should have used to challenge this on because, I mean, if we're just looking over just their experience here, this is Tessa's first girl group challenge. Eva has done the girl group challenge before, but it was the first episode when she did it, so it's been who knows how long since she did it. And then we also have Miranda in this group, who unfortunately doesn't want to do the girl group challenge really from the start here, based on the fact that she was almost in the bottom on her OG season for it. So she's just proud that she pushed her body to learn the steps here and is doing her best to mask the pain. And it definitely feels throughout this whole thing that they're kind of giving Miranda like a pre elimination send off here. They're making it sure that everything we kind of really understand her story before she goes. There is a really nice scene as well too between Alyssa and Queen where they discuss her situation. Where I guess part of her body, like half of her body, is in constant pain, and she does need to take some rest in between the having to dance here, which I mean she has a full day of having to dance here, a second day of having to dance here for the actual performance, and then having to lip sync at the end. I'm sure she was on her lip sync later tonight, but yeah. When it comes to this group, uh, with positives, the positives. I like the fact that they had a chair moment. Thought that was really fun. Something I don't think that
That
we've
was
seen.
good
I don't
choices.
think we've seen that on a girl group before. I don't think they've ever pulled out some chairs before. So I thought that was fun. But really, when it comes down to it, Kitty was right with her explanation here that there's just a lot going on, and no one feels in sync with anybody. And the lyrics for everybody were just not memorable at all whatsoever. Tessa maybe had the most standout performance for me out of everybody for her, just for the her solo verse. I thought was funny, especially
Hmm.
when she landed on her ass. Thought that was fun, but Eva was just kind of there. Miranda was obviously so off here. Like she was definitely for sure the one that was like, yeah, probably you're probably going home, Miranda. Um, and even Alyssa didn't really even impress me that much here. But I think that has a lot to do with maybe the fact that like there wasn't any girl that really felt like they kept up with her. So even she felt like she was off because nobody was in sync with anybody at all whatsoever here. So very kind of cringe performance for me personally. Definitely the weakest of the three groups. Probably not a performance I will go back and rewatch anytime soon, unless I'm doing like a countdown to have to rank my least favorite performances for girl group changes. Um, Jack, what are your thoughts here on Team Fresh Meat?
So this is definitely the worst group. Loved the concept, loved the confidence that these girls came in with. I loved that. Um, Alyssa later tells us in the episode, she said, I saw from the beginning, right when we did the first boom 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 moves, girls were off immediately, and she's like, all right, we on Titanic, I gotta get to the lifeboat. And I was like, yes, girl, that was what happened because it was a mess. But I wanna highlight a couple things here. Um, in order, Alyssa had one of the worst verses, and people are always like talking about it online and talking shit. I just want to say that like though Alyssa's verse wasn't that good, I want to let everyone know that we can't talk too much shit because someone who had a bad verse that to the point where Katya literally was like penitentiary kind of thing for for life literally won the girl group or the performance challenge on All Stars 9. So I just think that's funny, and I want to see if everyone's going to keep that same energy or not now. But as
Probably
much as the
not.
verse is bad, I no, they definitely won't. Um, because they're gonna talk shit on Alyssa, but not talk about how bad the other one was. So, but continuing with that, Alyssa had a bad verse. but she was hitting all the moves. I could tell she was doing it. And obviously, I expect that from Alyssa. You know, she's a trained dancer, she's a choreographer. This is what she did. And the girls asked her to do this. And I want to say that I think that some of the moves were dumbed down, anyways, for some of them. Like, there were times when they were like helping the girl out in the background and just like bobbing and like pointing at times during this. And even then, I didn't even feel like everyone was on the same page. So I feel like we were in a shit show. I think Tessa, you mentioned it, had the best performance in terms of her solo number. I saw a couple times where she definitely miss misstepped or like mistook the like dance move, but she like kind of stayed on the one side and then waited to get to the back to the thing. And you could see it was obvious she messed up, but like she was a very professional about it. She just waited to get back on the beat. And I appreciated that. And so I didn't put her as far down in the girl group performances as other girls for that. Miranda is the second white girl at the club that you're trying to get on beat, but didn't really ever get there necessarily in the first song. She was a little bit better than Pythia in my opinion, like just because I thought she put more energy and was more fun into it. Not to mention that I don't want to like give her reason, but you know, she is struggling with something that like limits her mobility and she still was giving us her all. And I don't care what anyone says, like her moves and stuff were bad and she was offbeat, but she committed. She did commit. I
Mm,
saw it in
she
her
did.
face. I saw it in her attempt. There were times where she was kind of low energy at times, but she tried. Now Eva girl, the first of all, her energy was up, down, left, right, center. Like in different parts, different times, she was doing her best, but girl, I clocked it. I was like, you gonna get with the girls? And I know part of it was like she was trying to be on the beat, but she probably saw what other girls were doing, especially like when Miranda was in front of her and she was like, what is this? So Eva tried, it didn't go well. So she was barely safe this week. I don't know. She almost was in the bottom for me. She was like bottom three, I think, of the week for me
Hmm.
in terms of that. But like, I I don't even know. And then finally, oh no, that was it. That was it. Thank God.
Yeah, that was all of
Yeah, so
them.
even though the group felt like it was really rough forever, I will say they tried it. I do think that it was a risk that did not necessarily pay off with the choreo, and that's probably why certain people find themselves in the bottom this week. Um, and that's unfortunate, but I think the girl who wasn't a dancer probably shouldn't have asked for like hard choreo for herself.
Oop, oop,
So
very
that's
true.
unfortunate, but like, you know,
Yeah,
a
Alyssa
risk
probably
you
could
should not
have.
take.
Alyssa probably shouldn't have. I mean, it wouldn't didn't hurt Alyssa either way. She
It's
was
not
fine
Alyssa's
regardless.
fault
But
at the end of the
yeah,
day. Like, no matter what, like Alyssa's fault is her lyrics.
yeah.
Alyssa's performance did not suffer because of everyone else's, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it suffered in the sense that like it looked kind of rough, but at the end of the day, you have to know that one of these girls is probably on beat most of the time. And there were times where her and Tessa were still together and no one else was, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Alyssa like is always on the beat because she knows what she's doing.
Hmm.
And there were times where everyone else was kind of on the beat uh, a little bit, but like not a time where everyone was on the beat. Like Miranda barely was. Tessa was definitely the next one most on the beat, and then Eva sometimes was good and then sometimes forgot what she was doing, but we can just move on.
Well, I was gonna say before this, I was agreeing with Alyssa that I really would have loved to see her verse in Read You Wrote You, but not so much anymore after what she gave us on this. So, yeah, that Alyssa did well. Anyway,
Oh wait,
um,
I have something to
oh
say about the Alyssa thing real quick.
yeah,
I want an apology written by everyone to Roxy Andrews, who's been saying, think of what would have happened if we had a verse from Alyssa Edwards on Reggie wrote you. Thank you. You may put
Ooh.
your apology on Twitter and say, Roxy, I'm sorry I talked that shit. That's my bad, girl. That's all you gotta say. And say about the girl group challenge and All Stars 2 say about Reggie wrote you. You can even do hashtag Reggie wrote you All Stars 2.
We'll see the comments just piling up below. um, for our third group here, I think this was definitely my favorite group of the night here. I think they had my favorite song too. I think it's actually been stuck in my head kind of all day, like randomly. And it's Team Backdoor Girls of Vanity Vain, Kitty, Scott-Claus, Gala, Varo, and Nehellenia. had a brain fart there for a second, figuring out who the other people were in this group. But this third group, again, they really bring the drama in the performance this week. As I think, again, they not only have my favorite track, but maybe my favorite group performance of them all. Absolutely. Starting with Gala. She's just kind of there this episode here. Unfortunately, she hasn't really found her stride in the story just yet. Unfortunately, and it's really getting to me because Gala had some of my favorite lyrics of the night here, and definitely was one of my personal favorite performances of the night. I again might just be biased because Gala is hot and was hot the whole performance. But I loved the lyrics when she was rhyming Papacito with Despacito, etc. I just thought it was fun. Such a rock goddess. But we also have Kitty here who wants redemption for losing in her initial season for the girl group challenge, and she takes charge of the choreography after Nehellenia apparently is really bad at it. And ultimately, I do think it was for the best. I do agree as far as the critiques go for the challenge, not involving the runway as well too, that Kitty is the top for the night given her verse about cheesy chips. I think that was hilarious. She was mostly in her element here. I do think where there were moments actually during the choreo where she was kind of all over the stage, namely in the points where when they have to do like a dance move, it felt like she would like get close to the other girls, but the way that she designed the choreo, like she had that little jumping move, so she could always just kind of like, oh, well, I'm too close to Lenny, let me just kind of jump back to the spot that I need to be in. So I thought that was smart to implement those portions like that. But it seemed like she was kind of deliberately saved last week, if we're going to be real, so she could shine this week. Before we get into her other two teammates, do you think Kitty was the deserved winner of the challenge, or are you with me that there is a case to be made for Gala here?
Let me tell you that Gala was definitely in my top three of the performances, and I haven't fully ranked this top. I think there's a top four, and I'm trying to rank those, but I know Gala will at least be in my top three, if not higher. I agree that Gala should have been in the top three, and it is bullshit again. I think that Gala has given us the best. First of all, Gala was in the top in episode two. Gala probably should have been in the top in episode three, and the fact that she's not in the top in episode four, ridiculous, ridiculous. This is feeling like plastique all over again to me, but like Gala is, I guess, the plastique right now of not being in the top for some reason. So he had some of the best lyrics, some of the most fun choreo, and her outfit looked good. And I honestly think her and Nelly probably only have the two only good outfits. And I get that they were trying to make everyone the same colors and concept for this. I think she just looked so good, and I don't know. She was hitting the choreo pretty good too. Where like I saw some of the other girls get off at times, I don't feel like Gala really got off ever.
Do you think Kitty's a deserving winner, though?
Um, if we're not taking the runway into consideration at all, then sure, she can win. It was really funny. What she did was really good. Her performance was really good. Don't get me wrong.
Gotcha. I feel that. No, I feel that way completely. I think Kitty probably. I see the case for it. I wouldn't have been the winner. I would have given it to. Or even then, I might have given it to Nehellenia as well too because she did really well this week here too. I think she was really smart to play into her strength. She clearly had something to prove this week, and I thought she was smart to write about anime. I didn't even think that we could talk about those kind of cartoons without them like getting like a content strike against them on like YouTube or something. But like I will say for me, and this is no hate to Nelly at all whatsoever. She is a dancer. She is not a singer. Um, Her portion of it is probably one of my least favorite to listen to because I don't necessarily enjoy her voice as much. But I was not surprised is the other girls seemingly were or weren't or whatever. I don't really know why they thought she was in the bottom. I guess compared to maybe the other girl we're getting into, I could kind of maybe see why they could compare between the two and maybe put one over the bottom over the other. But like I don't know. I thought Nelly did really well this week.
So I think I can see why the girls thought it because there was a time or two that Nelly got off the choreo or did something too early or too fast.
I did notice that too.
And I think that's probably what they were going off of because they probably were like, yeah, everyone's lyrics are fine. They're not going to judge us on our lyrics. That being said, I did think that Nelly had a really strong performance, so I'm not really sure I would have said that.
hmm And
Like, I don't know. It's just,
it was a little weird, right? But I think maybe the reason why, because I know too, like, especially when they were like spinning around and doing like the LOVE with their hands, she was always early
yeah,
on that. And
yeah, definitely.
she was
Like right
right
after her
next to the
part.
girls too, so it could be a situation where maybe they see her there and she's right there,
Mhm.
so you know that could possibly lead a little bit into it. Who knows? I don't know. It could be a situation where again we don't really see very much. Maybe it really is a situation where the girls just don't really know what she has to offer and are second guessing her skills. But I don't know. I thought she did well this week. Um, our final queen tonight that we need to talk about, who ultimately ends up in the bottom two this week, which I kind of was expecting based off the edit, but not necessarily based off of the performance. I don't think
It made
she
no sense, baby.
yeah, I thought she did well in the performance. But Vanity Vain, again, she's had quite a run on this season right now, with randomly winning the first challenge due to her singing, and her trajectory for this episode should have been like continue on with that, right? But it definitely feels like she's kind of on the way down now. She starts out the episode again saying she did well in the girl group challenge, but now she's not a dancer. She could do choreo if it's not choreo, if it's choreo that she creates. Um, so I don't I thought going into this I was expecting her to be one of the better ones, and she did have a funny verse, which was basically her about sucking, you know, sucking the D, and she definitely had I think the biggest laugh next to the cheesy chips of the night. So it was a little strange for me initially. The girls say that she was kind of nervous on stage. I think maybe I did kind of sense a little bit of her nerves there, but don't necessarily think for me I would have put her in the bottom two. But I guess with the story, it kind of makes sense. I'm having a hard time really figuring out who else I would have stuck in the bottom other than her, because really the only person that was for me really off, other than Miranda, was Pythia. I thought it would have been a Miranda Pythia bottom two. I was not expecting Vanity to end up in the bottom two at all whatsoever. Did you see this happening here, Jack?
No, and in fact, in this final group, like we said, Vanity might have been the weakest performer in the group, but her being in the bottom, I guess, was surprising because she hit more of the choreo than Nelly did, and she sure it's fair because her part was like fun, but they like felt like she kind of faded, and I can see that she kind of is like the it's like the opposite of the standout. You're not just fading in, you're like the average girl, like no one remembers you for a good or bad thing. You faded in so far, and maybe that's worse than doing worse on the choreo actually, because you are just the average. Like
Or
no
the other
one
girls
cares.
just had other standout moments? Because I remember things about like Nelly's verse with Pikachu and things like that, versus like I don't remember
Like
anything about Vanity's
she
performance
started
other
with
than
like the
the dick.
Sailor Moon thing, like really good, really smart. The Pikachu, you're right. She said Dragon Ball, and I almost canceled her for that because I Dragon Ball is one of those shows that just like it's going on too long and it's bad. Like after a while.
Mm,
But away from that anyways, is just the fact that like Nelly was high energy and fun, just like I think Gala and Kitty were, and obviously Kitty has like the biggest mouth ever, so like it's she's really good at this. Even though her dress was terrible. Vanity's dress was also pretty terrible, although I think it was like a bodysuit technically. It was bad, and I don't know. Something I found weird about this performance too is that Kitty was the only one not in like thigh high black boots for her team. But as far as it went for Vanity, I was shocked that she was even in the bottom three. I honestly thought we were going to see Eva Le Queen and Miranda and Pythia in the bottom three. So when Vanity was called for bottom three, I was like, well, that's kind of shocking because I liked Vanity Vain on the runway somewhat. Like even though it wasn't the best runway, like I was like, it wasn't the worst, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so then when we ended up with like Miranda and Vanity, I was like, wait, but Pythia's gonna skate by? So wait, all of a sudden the runway counts when it counts to the bottom, but doesn't count when it comes to the top? Like,
They also might be
make it
giving her a
make sense?
pass because the whole Nymphia win thing where she won the last challenge, the other two haven't. Actually, just kidding, Vanity won too. So it's like why? Okay, yeah, true. Maybe it was the runway that broke the tie. Now that I'm thinking about
Well,
it,
here's the other thing. I didn't care if Fanny was going to be in the bottom partially because I think it was really rigged for her to have a win because let's be 100%, she was not in the top two. She wasn't even in the top three in her group, if we're being a hundred about that second week or second episode
yeah.
or first episode, depending on how you look at it, if it's one or two episodes. So I was like, why is Vanity got that? And then she didn't even win the lip sync against Eva, yet they still said she won, and I was like, double rig, bitch. Like, so I was kind of like, I guess this is fine because like I need her to place in the bottom to at least make up for that lack of a win. I prefer two bottoms to make up for a win instead of just a high placement. But that's me being bitter about the thing. I didn't understand her being in the bottom. I would have probably put her like bottom four, maybe, but I don't know that Eva Le Queen's runway outdid Vanity even by anything at all to the point where she should have been saved. But either way, it
Yeah.
should have been Randa versus Pythia regardless.
Hmm.
And Pythia's runway may have been better than both of theirs, but it was girl, come on now. Pythia, she did try, but girl was just bad. Like we have to accept it. Like if Miranda has to be in the bottom for being bad, so does Pythia, girl. That's where clearly like some people were saying, well, where do you see like Pythia? Because she was never judged by RuPaul as like getting favoritism. Girl, this is the favoritism. How is she not on the bottom? Be so fucking for
Yeah.
real.
I probably would
Like
have done it
that's it.
too. I would have done Pythia versus Miranda, but I do have to wonder if they were saving Pythia for trying because I do wonder if because clearly what the lip sync we get here, Vanity definitely won over Miranda,
Oh yeah,
to Spice
it's
Up Your Life by
easy.
the Spice Girls. But I do have to wonder, would Miranda have beaten Pythia? Because I kind of think she might have. So I kind of feel
I'm
like
not
that's
sure
why they would have.
because we
They're
haven't
like, we're
seen
not even
Pythia
gonna
lip sync in a
chance
while.
it. I feel like they're not even gonna chance
Yeah.
it. So they're just like, let's just throw Vanity in there. We know we've seen her lip sync. We know that she could kind of do it. And though she'll probably send Miranda home.
Well, and I just want to say, to be honest, and I know they didn't know this going in there, but honestly, uh, from the beginning of Miranda's, it was pretty much guaranteed that she was going to go home regardless because she decided basically not to move for the first 15 seconds of the song and just play with the fan and not even really like just fanning herself. Hey girl, I'm here. And I was like, bitch, if you don't start lip syncing right now, like it is a fucking Spice Girls song. Don't act like you don't know the lyrics, which if you don't, it's problematic. And don't act like you can't have energy during a Spice Girls song.
I wouldn't have minded the fan if she had hair actually moved while she was fanning. Like if there was actually some
Or did
drama
anything.
there. Like she didn't even no, she really didn't even need to like I could see the world, I could see what she's going with. Like I could just imagine her having the like if she had the right kind of wig on, sitting there fanning herself and the hair just blowing and her just kind of having to just move her hair back and forth a little bit. I could kind of see that. But like yeah, no. She was outperformed for sure. This wasn't Charlie Hyde's level of unperforming, but um it was just kind of chaotic and confusing, and you could kind of tell. Unfortunately, Miranda was just. I think she had a lot of had she had a day maybe to rest before she got into this performance. I think she would have been able to give a little more, but I think she was just tired. She needed her rest, unfortunately, based off of everything. So sadly, Miranda Banana Fana Shaniqua Lebrão is ending up as our second international All Star to leave the season, which again doesn't surprise me given they sort of given her a shady edit this whole entire season. I do think they kind of undervalued quite as much as what she could have brought to the season, much like Dina. And like I kind of said last week, and it was giving me vibes when they kind of just stuck her in the bottom three for no real reason last week for the ball. That it felt
I
like they were
mean,
just preparing us for an early Miranda exit. So, um, Jack,
that second look was bad, but
it was it wasn't as bad as I think where people to the point where she needed to be in the bottom for that when she had one of the best looks that she made herself. So you're not going to tell me otherwise. I won't
no,
believe
I
it.
agree. I agree. Miranda didn't deserve to be in the bottom last week, but clearly they were planning on her going because she did too well in all the other categories as well to be in the bottom, really.
This was their
But
chance to do it, so it was time. Um,
they did
Jack,
say, "Let's do it now."
I I want to give you the final thoughts on Brazil's Miranda Lebrão, and do we need to be doing a rewatch of her season immediately to see her in her element, or nah? Are you good with what you saw here?
No, girl, let me tell you something. Miranda has my respect. I want to go watch the season now because after the mistreatment that she received on this show, she deserves everyone seeing her on her original season where I believe she is judged more fairly than she is here. And I think we have to unfortunately say that we can all see the favoritism kind of showing through once again. Maybe not so hard onto some of the queens. Like I know people have been like, well, Queen and Alyssa got too much favoritism, blah blah blah, and Kitty as well. But like this week, it's impossible for any of those three to be in the bottom. And when it comes to Pythia, who people were upset about getting favoritism or just being included in the favoritism category, clearly she is getting the favoritism now. So unfortunately, this idea is continuing, especially when you have queens like Gala Varo and Nehellenia who have been showing up and showing out. And even I want to say, I know Tessa did not have the best like ball performance. I know she didn't have uh the best talent, but the talent sure didn't matter because no one was going home. And the ball she didn't do bad enough in. And I think Tessa here like shows that she's a better competitor than what girls are giving her credit for. And though we saw Soa last week like have to lip sync for her life, we see an upcrease in her. She was fun. So I think though there are some girls from the international seasons, especially Gala and Nehellenia right now, who are like standing out from the pack for me. Um, they are being overshadowed, unfortunately, based on an edit. I do think that is going against them.
I gotta say, I'm even a little bit more worried for next week. But I want to go ahead and finish off just a little bit of final word here for Miss Miranda, just because again, I definitely think we need to watch some Drag Race Brazil here very soon. It's sad again because it just felt like they kind of pinpointed right off the bat that Miranda was going to likely be a girl who would probably struggle to have like true longevity in the season based off of her condition. And it kind of just felt like she was just someone for them to snipe easily out of the competition here. Again, last week was some very clear foreshadowing. But I really enjoyed her presence. You could tell she really wanted this, and I always feel for those girls who have such an affinity for being in the competition, yet feels like their time gets cut way too short. That being said, I do wish the best for Miranda here, and especially given the condition she's currently facing, and hopefully she'll be able to find the balance she needs between rest and working as well. So, we learned that next week is a Big Bubby's acting challenge where it seems like they're going to be doing like a sequel challenge, but make it international. And I gotta say, based off of these first two episodes and everything we just kind of talked about, I am so worried for our ESL Queens next episode, as this feels like the perfect opportunity for Rue to just snipe out a fan favorite under the guise of an acting challenge. Um, but I'm gonna continue to possibly hold out. Actually, who am I kidding? It's gonna continue. We're probably gonna see something more even egregious happen next week. So, a little scared for it, just because if we're getting this upset about saying that people are talking shit when they're just saying someone might be in their bottom two, I'm afraid of what this could all escalate to moving
Oh,
forward. So, um, Jack, I'm going to give you the final thoughts here. Any concluding thoughts here as our final 10 fight it out next week? And is it too early just to say that Alyssa Edwards is winning the season?
I think it's too early to say that Alyssa Edwards will guaranteed be winning the season, but I think unfortunately it is not too early to say we will see at least two, if not more, of the girls who come from the English as a first language speaking country getting to the top four. I think it will be definitely Alyssa going far, if not all the way. And either I think either Kitty or Pythia will be making it to at least the top four as well. I just think that after Pythia's save, after Kitty's save, it's hard to even to some degree you could no, I don't want to say that. I don't think Queen has necessarily been saved at all yet. That's not fair of me to say. But Pythia and Kitty both have been saved already, and you know they were both the worst of the week. So, or at least like in the bottom three for certain. So I'm not really sure what we can say about this. Like where are we gonna be? What's gonna happen? I don't want to say who I want to root for, other than the fact that everyone knows it's Gala Varo. I love her. I think she deserves the world. I see a world where Tessa is probably getting cut in the next couple episodes after she's had enough of the time of being like, I don't want to say the season's villain, unless they're going to make Nelly out to be the season's villain at this rate. But, or they could even do Queen at this rate, honestly, because it kind of felt like they were setting that up. But I think that we have some potential for some really good, really fun moments in the season. I am nervous though for a lot of the queens who come from ESL country backgrounds. This is going to be a bit rough as there's so much talent left, and I just don't feel like it's being judged fairly. So I'm hoping that this does not continue, and maybe it was just like get a couple episodes with the girls from the English speaking countries to like keep those franchises going and their fan bases watching more. I guess because they're probably considered bigger since they're more produced by RuPaul. But I'm hoping for all of our queens to do well without the help of the production.
One thing I could say is that, I mean, when we do have situations like the Miranda situation, hopefully, if at the very worst, if everybody is this upset, then they'll at least go back on Well Presents Plus and actually watch the original season that they're in. So hopefully it's opening up people to a lot of that opportunity here, and maybe hopefully we'll see a lot more interest in franchises globally here moving forward. That's really the only positive I could see here, that we could really hold on to, because at the end of the day we already kind of know what we're dealing with RuPaul.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, like I said, if again, we could just only reiterate here is don't send the hate to the girls. The girls are, the queens are just doing their thing. They're just trying. They're just living. And they're just trying to give us some good entertainment. So, I personally am gonna again stay so optimistic here and say, as always, I cannot wait to see how this all turns out. And Hopefully you can't either, especially if you have made it this far. Thank you again so much for listening. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it lets us know that you're enjoying the content. Be sure to catch all of our continuing coverage on Global All Stars, Big Brother 26. And again, who knows what else we may have in store with shows like The Challenge Season 40, Drag Race Mexico, and Drag Race Philippines, as well as The Anonymous currently airing, as well as the premiere of some old favorites like Survivor and The Circle this month. Still cannot believe we are already in September. The year is almost over, but we still have so much TV to watch, and I'm so excited. So, until next time, y'all, and on behalf of my co-caster Jack, this is Renegade signing out. But remember, keep spilling that tea, y'all. Bye.
Bye.